Hey, hey, I'm alive. Let's see here. There's the share button. Anyway, welcome to whoever joins. Feel free to, you know, like, comment, share, all that stuff. If you want to, but I'm not forcing you. Up to two, according to YouTube Studio. Uh, anyway, just gonna share the video quick on social media. I just got done doing the tags. And I'll get into the stream. I gotta go into my messenger to get the stuff I was gonna use. Anyway, more protesters were outside in downtown Minneapolis just now. I just got back in from watching them. So let's see what happens. Anyway, hey, welcome. Welcome to whoever's viewing. Glad you made it. Feel free to, I'm just waiting for a few more people to get in. But feel free to talk about something. Ask me anything. I just got back from doing, or from more or less watching a few protests. Uh, Second set of protests that I know about that happened in downtown Minneapolis here. So feel free to ask me anything, say anything you like, whatever you want to do. Listen, Anyway, let's see how long it takes people to get in here. Anyway, long story short, Monday. Was it Monday the 25th? The cop wound up killing um, an unarmed black man who was basically saying he couldn't breathe because the cop was putting his knee on the dude's neck. Uh, Riots happened yesterday. The cop was arrested between last night and now, and it's 7:01 p.m. currently. Just waiting to see have people. I want to see and have people interact with. So kind of waiting for people to show up. Already been here 13 minutes. Hey, welcome to the new viewer. Suddenly we're down to 0. Want to see how long this goes on. Live streams have helped me get more. Granted, this isn't the reason I'm doing. Before all of this happened, live streamers help get me subscribers, help get me views, all that stuff. Now, I think people are out protesting. I've heard now people are starting to protest all over the country. As long as everything stays peaceful, I'm all for it. Welcome back to the random ghost viewer. I do want to keep making this live stream. I want to actually come up with a topic word about what's happening because I want ideas, my points of view, and all that stuff. But I also want to share what's been happening this past week. So, I'm more interested right now in to basically right now I'm more interested in justice than I am in the views. But we'll see what happens. There is a curfew now because of it. 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. So yeah, things have just been kind of iffy now around where I live. Since I live in Minneapolis and things have been a little tense before, but now, like last summer, I was called racist just because I was white, which is some bullshit. And now people are writing because of an unarmed black man getting killed, which I shouldn't have been. But this isn't about me. George Floyd is the one that this whole thing is about. And I want to talk about him, but I want to hear what other people want me to talk about regarding this whole situation. I'm just trying to get people in here so I can find out what they want me to talk about this situation. Hey, Earth. Jeez. Yeah. More protests downtown. Maybe getting old, but it's for a good cause. I would much rather have people be peaceful downtown, protesting peacefully, rather than doing the riots from, what was it, Wednesday? 'Cause, for those of you who don't know, Wednesday, Wednesday, there were riots in Minneapolis. Target in Minneapolis off of East Lake Street was broken into. People were stealing stuff. And I'd much rather have people be peaceful and making a point that way rather than what happening today. It says, "Hey, how's it going, Sarah?" Eric says, "All I'm saying is I want only peaceful protests. I want the other stuff to end. All the fires and looting and destruction of businesses isn't doing anything but creating more issues." I agree. Yeah, I agree. This the peaceful stuff is definitely a hell of a lot better than what was going on Wednesday. Although I do think the rioting that happened Wednesday was catalyst to get all this started, which I hate saying, but it was the catalyst to get all this started. Ben is saying hello. How are you, Ben? Yeah. Anyway, as I was saying though, even if the riots that happened in Minnesota uh, even if there were riots and they were the catalyst, it still shouldn't get to that point. Benton is saying, "I'm good. I've finished watching 3 seasons of Westworld." Holy crap, I have a lot of catching up to do. I only saw a couple episodes of the first season. Gotta catch up on that. Long and short of this past Monday here, somebody named George Floyd wound up getting killed by cops because the cop was putting way too much pressure on the dude's neck. And George Floyd, the guy that was being arrested, and the reason I did air quotes there is because he died. He died because the cop put too much pressure on his neck. As far as I know, Wednesday, Lake Street. I didn't check today, but they were still happening yesterday morning in Minnesota. Now, last night and tonight, there were peaceful protests as well. And starting yesterday at 4, all the buses in Minneapolis, actually Minneapolis area, I should say, Minneapolis and St. Paul area, none of the buses are running because of what's happening, because they want everybody to be safe. Mayor enacted a curfew for people that starts at 8 o'clock, I believe, 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. You have to be in. So people got another 40 minutes to get inside. And basically, what happened Monday with the cop killing the unarmed black man was kind of the catalyst for what's going on now. But the riots were the start of the riots that happened Wednesday were the start of what's happening now. Even if black man that got killed was everything. But then what kicked everything off was the riots that happened Wednesday, is what I'm saying. Eric is saying, yeah, now that they're doing things, they should stop all of it now. People are saying it was to pacify them. Like, they gave you what you wanted. Not completely. People are looking for an end to racism. That is why they're protesting. That peaceful marches, all the chanting, all the rioting. They want to put an end to racism, and they want to make a point that all this racism that's going on is the reason, is the exact reason. The racism is why they're doing this. People are getting annoyed. People are revolting. And it's, as Ben has said, people are starting to protest in other cities as well now because of what happened. At least that's the news I've heard. And in a way, I kind of agree with what's been happening. I agree with the peaceful protest portion of it. I'm sick of the racism that caused all these protests. rioting can be handled differently. I understand the point they're trying to make. Eric says, "Gotta go. Sorry." Well, I'll see you at some point. Hopefully, hopefully we can stay safe and still meet up, especially with everything that's happening. Looked like there were, my guess is close to 1,000 people in this last protest that I saw. I guess there's probably somewhere between 600 and 800 people, which is still a hell of a lot more than I would have expected. But I mean, in a good way too. And there's a healthy mix of people as well that are going out and protesting, voicing their opinions on what happened peacefully, which is how a protest, in my opinion, is how a protest should be. Ben says, "Does the media have anything to say about the protests and how people are supposed to social distance because of COVID-19? That I don't know. The only thing that I've heard is that A, they cut the cop wound up fleeing, but they wound up catching him and arresting him. And B, they're just reporting that people are protesting. As far as I know, they've got nothing to say yet. I'm not saying they won't. I'm not saying they haven't reported stuff like that. But I don't really follow actual news outlets as often. If I happen to see anything on social media that's a news outlet covering stuff, then every once in a while I'll tune in. But for the most part, I just don't really follow news outlets, whether it's Fox or ABC or CBS or whatever. So too much convoluted BS. Which I'm sure you could probably say about anything, but see here. Ben says, "I would guess that in the riot, some people were sent to the hospital, and the hospital also had to deal with COVID-19. That makes sense. I wouldn't doubt that. I do know one person from the riots on Wednesday was reported to have gone to the hospital with a gunshot wound, or I guess either the hospital or the morgue, one of the two, because he wound up in the morgue later because he died. So I don't know if he went to the hospital first or if he went straight to the morgue. But one person died because of being shot. I'm sure there were other people that got wounded. There were other riots yesterday. Third precinct police building in Minneapolis got burnt down. So things are starting to get a little hectic, and that would be putting it lightly. What happens when the police building gets burned down? Does that mean the police are defeated? I'm not sure what that means. I was wondering that myself. Soda bottle. You scared the hell out of me there. Thought there was a gunshot or something nearby. Wonder what the command structure of the police is. And I've been wondering what the whole like if one building burns down, how the hell do they operate everything? Like how the hell like if the third precinct building burns down like it did, move them to another precinct to work? Ben says, yeah, they probably radio each other. I wouldn't doubt it. Wouldn't doubt it. But yeah, this whole thing with Floyd or George Floyd, uh, all these riots were caused by him passing away, him dying, all that stuff. And although it might be getting old for me to see all these riots and stuff, I understand completely where they're coming from. I'm not complaining about it. In fact, I'd much rather see people doing the peaceful protests that I've seen rather than what happened on Wednesday at Lake Street in Minneapolis. More specifically, the Target on East Lake Street that I'm assuming is still closed 2 days later. Ben says he remembers Rodney King. And know I've heard the name, but let's see here. And I remember somewhat hearing this story. I was in the middle of working two jobs when that happened, so I didn't really have any time to follow any news or anything. But I do remember hearing at least a little bit about it. Few people a few people I worked with were talking about it, so I at least heard about it. It says here on March 3rd, 91, King was violently beaten by LAPD officers during his arrest for fleeing and resisting on I-210. And he died June 17th, 2012. Because I remember they were talking about how they covered on the news how Rodney King died. So he died June 17th, 2012, and was buried June 30th, 2012. I remember at least hearing about it. I do remember hearing about Rodney King. But of course, I appreciate, peace and quiet. So that's the main reason why I don't follow the news as often as I do, because I value peace and quiet. But I do still tune in every once in a while. Tune into the news. I still listen to what other people say about certain topics. And this whole situation with George Floyd in Minnesota, because he got killed on George Floyd got killed on Monday. Cop fled. Cop that killed him fled. Either that night or the following morning. And then they wound up catching him today and or either yesterday or today, and they wound up arresting him. And he's going to be sentenced, and up to 3 other people are going to be sentenced as well. Because what is the cop's name? The cop's name was Derek Chauvin. Derek Chauvin is the one that killed George Floyd. And Chauvin is the one that fled, but there was Chauvin's partner and another team of 2 police that stood by and did nothing while Chauvin did what he did. So at least Chauvin is going to be prosecuted. And the report that I saw today said that any number of the 3 other police that were standing there may also be prosecuted. So I think it's a start. The reason they rioted on Wednesday before anyone was prosecuted is because they felt that race, it's kind of a multi-part thing. The reason they started rioting before he was caught and all that stuff is because they felt like they were just letting him go and gonna give him a slap on the wrist and say get back to work. And B is the fact that he killed an unarmed black man. If you go to my channel, I've got a video that shows the entire situation, or almost the entire situation. It doesn't show what caused the cops to be called, but it does show the Chauvin, the cop that was in the middle of arresting him. It does show cop putting his knee on the Floyd's neck, and it does show Floyd saying, "I can't breathe," and it shows him going back and forth. Where the cop says, "Get in the car," and Floyd says, "I can't. I can't get in the car. I want to cooperate. I can't get in the car. I can't breathe. Help." Ben is asking, does this area have a large black population? Yes, there are a lot of black people here. In Minneapolis, in St. Paul, in all the suburbs around the Twin City area. The entire area has a lot of black people. A lot of black people. Granted, there's certain areas that have a denser population than others, but that's just true with anywhere. Certain, like, but here's the thing: black, white, Chinese, Japanese, we're all people. We're all people. It shouldn't get to the point where we're hating people based off of skin color. The reason people don't like talking about people's skin color is because it comes off as racist half the time, regardless of whether racism was intended or not. And even if it doesn't come off as racist, there's still a chance that people are getting offended by whatever was said. So, yes, there was a large black population in the Minneapolis area. No, I don't mean that as racist. It's just black people here. I'm not saying anything about a certain group of people's actions because anyone can cause trouble. Anyone can be peaceful. I've seen black and white people steal. I've I've seen black and white people out in all the protests the past few days. And I support all the protesters completely. I support what's going on with the population right now. Because the majority of people, regardless of skin color, are banding together to end racism. My opinion, that is a more important thing than what happened on Monday or what happened on Wednesday. There were black people and white people in the crowds rioting on Wednesday. I I think regardless of who did what, racism is wrong. Um, I know politicians have said stuff. As far as I know, at least for the Twin Cities area, including the suburbs, if not for the entire state, or maybe even the entire country, I don't know. But there's a lockdown that starts in about 15 minutes around where I live. Starts at 8 o'clock around where I live in about 15 minutes. So goes from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. every night until further notice because of the riots, because of the protests. And as far as I know, them shutting everything down and putting the curfew is their way of saying, hey, be safe. Which means they're taking a definite stand. In my opinion, they are standing with the people and trying to keep them safe, trying to limit the time they have outside, giving them enough time during the day. If there's any place open, they can do all their shopping there between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. And then you go home between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. So, as far as I know, because I don't follow the news, as far as I know, oh, I did see a tweet from Trump regarding the situation. I want to see if I can pull it up. Let's see here, just before 1 a.m. Eastern time on Friday morning. So last night at 1 a.m. Eastern, President of the United States got on Twitter and decided to offer his thoughts about the ongoing unrest in Minnesota following the release of video footage showing the death of an unarmed black man named George Floyd while he was being taken into custody by police. Trump Trump tweeted, let's see if that links to Trump's tweet. It does. Trump's tweet says, I can't stand back and watch this happen to a great American city, Minneapolis. Total lack of leadership. Either way, or either the very weak radical left mayor, Jacob Fry, get his act together and bring the city under control, or I will send the National Guard and get the job done right. I don't know if the mayor has said anything on Twitter or made any decisions on what to do, but whatever's happened, he's at least put us in lockdown from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. So, yeah, I'm just I don't know. This is more, as far as I know, that's the only stuff that's been said. I don't know if any politicians or news agencies have said anything or just covering the riots and tweets, or if they're just covering the riots and protests, I mean. Ben is asking what happens to all the businesses. Do they get paid by insurance? Does the government pay for them to rebuild? I don't know what's happening. To be honest, I haven't really been following the news. Uh, yeah. As of right now, there are the notifications. The only thing that I know, and the reason I found out about the riot still happening yesterday morning on Lake Street, is because of Snapchat. And it looks like there's still stuff going on. Yeah, and right in that area. This is the Snapchat map for Lake Street in Hiawatha, right after the light rail on Lake Street. And something just popped up saying protest. So the protests are still happening down there, or they're labeling it as protests. Let's see what happens. Police and SWAT gear right outside the Target. Yeah, this is basically how I've been kind of following everything. There's police and SWAT gear. So all this is fairly recent. There's still people out there protesting. Seems to have become more peaceful out there, but I still wouldn't want to go out there. So police and SWAT gear out there still. Looks like they're labeled State Patrol. Army in SWAT gear, or in, they got like vests on, they've got, the helmets with the face shield. So this is all on Snapchat right now. If you go on, if you go on the Snapchat maps, it is just south of downtown Minneapolis. If you can find Hiawatha Avenue in 94 area, just follow that south and you should see oh, and there's something going on downtown, like directly downtown too. Let's see what's happening. They're at the Viking Stadium. So kind of split up between downtown and Lake Street. So internet's kind of cutting out on me, but I figured I'd show you. This whole area here is downtown, right where that red spot is pretty much downtown. If you go south, that's that's where the Target is. That's where Lake and Hiawatha is, and Target is right there. That's the Target they rioted at. So, but yes, I agree with what Ben is saying. I would not want to catch COVID-19 while being in jail. So, um, I do mean the store Target, the one with Bullseye the dog. They wound up breaking into the Target on Lake Street. It's well, East Lake Street really, because it's Google Maps shows there's. I can still hear them out there protesting. My window's open. I can still hear them loud as day out there protesting right now. But yes, I do mean the store Target. They wound up breaking the windows, going in, stealing electronics, looting everything. Somebody got shot. All that happened Wednesday. More riots happened yesterday morning. I didn't check back in yesterday. I didn't check back in this morning. And you saw me check in just now for. Please let me know that you can hear that. I want you guys to let me know. Because all this that's happening, all these protests right now are all because, yeah, I know the audio and video from the laptop isn't the best. But yeah, they're out there protesting right now. They're literally walking past um my apartment right now. And all this is stemmed basically the catalyst was George Floyd dying, and all the initial reaction was to riot, which was what happened Wednesday at the Target, which is what I just got done describing. It evolved into what it is now. There's the peaceful protests that have been happening downtown. And then there's the somewhat peaceful, somewhat riotous uh, stuff that happened on the Target on Lake Street, the Target store on Lake Street. So things have been turbulent, to say the least. but things are going well for everything being turbulent, if that makes any sense. Ben says he's going to get himself a pizza from the fridge. Are you going to have to warm it up at all, or are you going to be right back? Anyway, I do support all the protesters. But yeah, things have been extremely chaotic around downtown Minneapolis. Everything is closing down. Target store downtown is closed. Everything closed at like 4 o'clock yesterday. The stuff that didn't close right at 4 closed at some point between 4 and 5, if not right at 5. There were no buses after like 4:30. People were protesting, people were rioting. Things are chaotic. The word is getting out there that people are tired of all this unnecessary abuse, violence. Racism is not the answer. A person is a person, regardless of skin color. And a person should be treated as a person, not as a skin color or stereotype. So, I think I'm just going to end the video here or in the stream. If you're just getting back, Ben, I apologize. But I want you to feel free to share this live stream. Give me a thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit that bell notification, all that stuff. I'll see you guys in the next one.